times. Again, it's been one of those years where, the coaches, Casey just said it, year to year, it's a different thing. It's last year we were dealing with coming off the 16-0 state championship team, and and people comparing us to Jake Browning and all those guys, and like we had the same discussion with this team at the start of it in January. It's a new team, it's a new year. People are going to talk about previous section championships or state championships or whatever streak we're on. I know this, I'm on a great streak of Jersey Mike's sandwiches for lunch every day, but that streaks mean nothing, right? They mean nothing. All you got to do is focus in the now, and that's one thing our guys have done great this year. We started off the season playing a team out of Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, had a great shootout, went into the game. Joe Curry's our starting quarterback, unsure of how things were going to go. We had we lose Jonah Williams, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the country at Alabama. You got a whole group of offensive linemen. I had my son last year, Coop, 265, 290-pound tackles, and we don't have those guys this year. And again, so we had a lot of unproven offensive linemen, a new quarterback, a bunch of new guys on the defense, and we needed to see how things were going to go. And got off to a great start against Coeur d'Alene. Joe came out of the blocks with his first varsity start with 564 yards passing and 6 TDs. Right, so pretty good start for a guy's senior year in his first varsity game. And again, from there, just trying to get better every week. Obviously, we get to the Sac High game, and like Terry said, Sac High was loaded. Athletes, well coached, and again, we were maybe at that point a little complacent, and just thought maybe we could show up and we were going to win football games, and we were going into the end zone to make it 21-0. Instead, we fumbled, lost the momentum, got injured, maybe had some questionable calls. All those things just kind of spiraled into what turned out to be a loss. And sometimes, as all these coaches will tell you, sometimes a loss is the best thing that can happen to your team. And it kind of forced us to look in the mirror, how we were approaching every day at practice and watching tape and our preparation. And, when you're going into the SFL, which again, top to bottom is one of the best leagues in all of California, you better show up prepared. And, again, got it rolling again. Obviously, I think one of our best games of the year was against Del Oro. I think we executed beautifully on both sides of the ball. And, again, now we're got into a position where we were playing at our place at home against a Elk Grove team for a chance to get back to another section championship opportunity, playing one of the best teams I've seen on tape in a long time. Again, they're scoring points in bunches. They got 2 big offensive linemen, are both D1 recruits. They got as many skill guys, if not more, than we do. Tony's an incredible coach. I've admired him for years, and we got our hands full, and we got a lot of work to do. We got to show up. Luckily, I think to be at this point in the season, it always helps to be healthy. I think for being in your 13th game, I think we're in pretty good shape that way. But we're going to need to show up on Saturday and play a great game to be able to compete with an incredible football team.
Casey touched on it as well, but how does being in the SFL prepare you for the postseason?
Well, you talk about wanting to be battle tested, getting into the so whether you accomplish that in your preseason scheduling or when you're in our league, you got to be a little bit smart with how you're scheduling your preseason, because you're going to play some incredibly tough teams with incredible coaching staff. So if you come out of the SFL, and you make it to the playoffs, you're going to be ready to compete with anybody.
Chris, your offense has been so good over the years, but your defense has done a nice job this year. You talk about some of your defensive guys.
Well, again, we've got some incredible defensive players, led by what I'm really proud of, Sam Cole, one of my guys. Love Sam. Sorry, get choked up sometimes. Played for me in 2000. 0304. Known him since he was 7th, 8th grader, and I made the smart move of getting a younger, more energetic guy to come lead the defense, and has done amazing things with it. Obviously, Ariel Nagata, Brad Jenner. We get by on our D line. Again, you lose a guy like Jonah Williams. who's a 300-pound monster, and then we're lining up the a 210-pound D tackle. But he's we've got a bunch of guys up front that are probably more like linebackers. Again, the way we move, the way things that Coach Cole has done with our guys. Again, we do a great job of swarming on defense. We can vary our looks. The speed that we have on defense has been our most impressive thing, but you got to be able to know what you're doing in order to play fast, and that's something that Coach Cole's done an incredible job for us.
You're a Bay Area guy, you coached here for a long time. Is this section continuing to get better?
Oh, I think it's the best section around, bar none. That's just my opinion. I know the coaches that are here. Again, I got Tim Murphy's a great friend of mine. We were high school teammates, and so we've been in touch ever since his days at Ignacio Valley. Obviously, you got Dale Sal, who's the cream of the crop, but top to bottom, our section is as good as anybody out there. And again, the teams that are in here now, can compete with anybody in the state of California. So it's a great place to compete, and we have great high school programs. I think the one thing that I love about Sacramento high school football is the communities that are involved, the Del Oros, the Loomises, the Folsoms. Again, there's a lot of support and a lot of interest in high school sports in Sacramento, and football's at the forefront of that, and it's a great place to compete.
Chris Richardson and Folsom High School.